So I think Chair Powell is correct in pointing out that there are two tails to the soft landing. The soft landing is what he's targeting, but there are risks on both sides. I think what he misses is the balance of that risk. That the balance, unfortunately, is in favor of them being too late and the economy slowing more than it should, and small businesses and low-income households being hit particularly hard. There's a 35% probability that they may end up too late. Now, the good news is not above 50, but it's a pretty fat tail that the Fed should be very, very attentive.
Ripple has, from the earliest days, invested in engaging regulators. And when we go to Washington, D.C., we go to other regulatory bodies around the world and explain, we aren't circumventing a KYC check, a know your customer check. We aren't circumventing an AML, anti-money laundering check. We aren't circumventing BSA. Oh, there's lots of three-letter acronyms. I'll stop there. But look, the Bank of England is a paid customer of Ripple's. There's another central bank we haven't announced that we're working with very actively. We will continue to work with central banks. We'll continue to work with regulators and educating them about how we can accelerate the financial ecosystem, which is good on many, many, many levels, and not in some way circumvent and enable anonymous transactions that obviously the government has.
In an era where bipartisanship can feel scarce, Gensler has done such a terrible job running the SEC that he has managed to unite members on both sides of the aisle, condemning his failed leadership. Gary Gensler has worked to consolidate his own power, even though it means crushing opportunities and, frankly, the financial future of this country. Rogue bureaucrats like Gensler are supposed to be working for the people, not reigning over them. He has wasted a large part of the SEC's resources to wage war on the crypto industry. The strategy, however, has not been successful for him as the SEC continues to lose again and again in the courts on its crusade against the digital asset innovation in this country. It's time for the SEC to return to its mission and protect opportunities for every American who wants to participate in the greatest capital markets in the world. Digital asset innovation is an important part of that. What Gary Gensler doesn't understand is fighting against crypto innovation in America isn't going to stop it. He is only going to push crypto innovation off of American soil. This is exactly how disasters like FTX occur. The United States should want digital asset businesses under its regulatory umbrella and purview so that we have a safer digital asset ecosystem. Many people are concerned that Kamala Harris would actually appoint Elizabeth Warren or Gary Gensler to be her Treasury Secretary, which would only make matters worse. Their mission to upend free markets, innovation, and global competitiveness would destroy our financial system. We can't let that happen. America is ready for the pro-crypto president, and there's only one candidate who has promised to fire Gary Gensler.
Global tax deals happening. We got global deals on principles for how they're going to, interact among each other with central bank digital currencies. And people really believe they couldn't come up with a price set for XRP? That's like not even hard to think. There's no logic there. It doesn't make sense. So, if they do that, we believe the value would be higher than it was in September and October of 2021 when we were throwing out 25,037.5 coins. So it would be a higher price than a previous predictionally in the 50,000 now, I would think. We haven't brought the numbers down, but I'm just thinking about all the additional trillions of dollars that got pumped in to the economy. Yes, the fact, the Fed right now is really the only participant in our economy. They're basically issuing all the money. That's going into the big banks, and then the big banks are selling, and the hedge funds are selling their crap fucking debt. Yeah, sorry, can I answer? Absolutely. Go ahead. They're selling their crap all the time back to the Fed and the balance sheets. Yeah. Going
$80
parabolic.
trillion incoming?
And the reality of 80 trillion in wealth that's going to transfer through one generation to the next as baby boomers kind of move on and pass their money down. Crypto is going to be part of that conversation. And that is also another, I think, topic that is what is going to be the future of crypto, is how that's going to be allocated and where people are going to put in their portfolios.
And that was Dave Lavelle, the head of ETFs over at Grayscale. As they understand how massive this greatest transfer of wealth is about to be, and crypto is going to be part of the conversation. It is the technology of the future, and Ripple has been paving its way for the longest time. Grayscale to launch the first US XRP trust, paving way for a potential ETF. In my opinion, they are strategically setting everything up, all the way from the trust, the ETF, the stablecoins, the partnerships, right? So that they can influx all of this liquidity into the actual markets. $80 trillion in this wealth transfer, that is not even including the $1 quadrillion of the derivative market. All you gotta do is have faith and hold. This is why it's so important to know what you hold. Let's going in on all three pillars.
So our core product has always been cross-border payments, using blockchain and crypto to help traditional financial institutions move money faster and more cheaply and more transparently than they can. We realized that to be the one-stop shop, we need to also provide the custody solution and a stablecoin, which can be a proxy for any digital asset that you want to use on the blockchain to make that happen. So we're going all in on all three pillars. And part of it also will become the tokenization of real world assets. And I think eventually, and that is getting a lot of traction outside of the US in all of the jurisdictions that Tom talked about, all of the jurisdictions where we have customers. And hopefully when this regulatory cloud is lifted and we get some policy clarity in the US, we will then be the most trusted source for enterprise support for crypto solutions in the US.
I mean, tokenization has gone through all these hype cycles, but my goodness, it seems to be having a moment in a real way.
Ripple is going to be the most trusted one-stop shop for all of enterprise solutions for crypto. This is why you're starting to see all over TikTok, all the crypto bros that were once namesayers that talk crap about XRP start to be like, oh, I was wrong about XRP. This is how my thought process is that there are so many problems all across the world, right? Number one problem is to save the children. But in order to solve all of these problems, we have to change the money. But a lot of y'all didn't understand that, and now y'all are trying to switch sides. Look, I'm gonna tell you right now, trust comes a long way in the new world, and none of us forget. This is why it's so important to know what you hold. Let's go.
Yeah. When people give their money to BlackRock now in an exchange traded fund with Bitcoin name on it, they have to physically go buy the Bitcoin. It's not paper version. They have to go buy Bitcoin and own the actual asset. That asset has to be self-custody for real. And why is that big, Dan Calvin? Because that opened up the floodgates for other ETFs. If you don't think an XRP ETF is coming, you don't understand crypto at all, do you? Let me just give you a couple words here. 3 words. XRP, not a security. Somebody said, let it ring out. So say it out loud again so I can hear Calvin. It sounds like music to my ears. It's poetry. Just snap your fingers.
See ETF when?
I think we're going to see it, I think it'll probably be 2025.
Next year?
Yeah,
all right.
not too far.
I really believe that. Instant wealth. Someone told me once that when the price of XRP, the lawsuit is over, it's going to just go up and come back down because people will sell. I get that.
Yeah.
However, XRP does have a burn rate too. So it's burning. I know it's burning very slowly.
Yeah.
Right. But if it's burning the transactions, why the hell would it go back down? It should just keep going up. You know, it wouldn't make sense. But I personally think that it's just going to shoot up. And this is what we've been told before. This is what we've heard before. I think we're now speculating based on heavy data and heavy research how this might actually play out. Because when they flip the switch on, okay, they have the payment protocols in place with the largest institutions. So if they flip the switch, that's it. All the assets now move on that platform. So there's now utility. And business isn't going to stop. It's going to keep going.
easy $100 real fast. And as the demand keeps going because institutions are using it, they start to follow, everyone hops on board. And
if you've got the stable coin, is there a need for XRP in this mix?
Absolutely. We use a mix of assets to serve our payments customers, so including stable coins as well as XRP. The use case for XRP in particular is as it was envisioned by the original creators of the ledger and of XRP. And that is as a bridge asset for the long tail of currency pairs. And we're talking about tokenization of other types of assets. In the future, when you have new types of assets tokenized on chain, having a really efficient intermediary bridge asset to make any pair liquid is important.
Spend the money now, get it out of your bank account while you still can, quickly and easily, and try and bring your balances down to a level where you're not going to be too worried if they tell you you're bottlenecked and you can't move it into the new currency.
You mean money in the bank, correct? Don't keep too much in the bank.
Yes, exactly. If we have a reset, we have a crisis, and suddenly they close the doors and they say the whole economy is run on the central bank digital currency, but you're bottlenecked. You can't now move the old currency into the new one. The old currency is effectively either defunct today or it's going to be withering away. You want to have less of that old currency left, or whatever they don't convert for you.
March of 2023, there was a report by the IMF titled "Trust Bridges and Money Flows: A Digital Marketplace to Improve Cross-Border Payments." And interestingly, on page 23, they mention two digital assets, and that's XRP and XLM.
The Bank for International Settlements publishes their money flower, and there is a small space in that money flower for those private cryptocurrencies. So I agree with you that the winners of this have already been chosen.
I believe so.
Right? And I think that you just named the two that are most likely that, and I think also Wall Street's totally adopted Bitcoin.
Here is proof that the banks are keeping XRP, XLM, whatever they're going to use in this transition to digital assets a secret. Listen to this.
Citi as an organization is quite conservative in terms of what we talk about, in what we say in the media. We don't say anything until it's gone through our regulatory approval, and our internal guidelines are robust and strong, and I'm sure I'm being watched as I speak.
So right there in your face, this guy, David Cunningham, the global head of strategy and partnerships of digital assets, tells you straightforward that they keep a lot of things behind the scenes, that they're conservative on information that they project to the media and to the masses.
Crypto at large is tribalism. I mean, Ripple has invested in over 60 companies. We've invested hundreds of millions of dollars, close to $500 million, at about 60 different companies across the crypto landscape. Some of them are involved with XRP, some of them aren't. I truly believe all boats can rise, and I think the whole industry, frankly, needs to stop taking shots at each other and try to support each other and try to actually help people.
There were many XRP holders who wanted me to ask you if Bitwise was going to do anything regarding XRP, given the ruling in the lawsuit against Ripple, given that it has some level of clarity now that intrinsically it's not a security. Anything you can share there?
Yeah, it is a holding now of the Bitwise 10. So it is the third largest holding at a 3.2% weight. You know, we removed it from the index the day the lawsuit came from the SEC because it injected a fair amount of risk into the market. But the lawsuit went through and there was a ruling. And as you mentioned, the ruling found that it was not a security in most aspects. And so it is back in the index where it belongs, just like it's there, you know, with your pillows. So we're ready. We're right there with you.
Yes, it is my name on the lower left-hand side of U.S. money. So out of the approximately $2 trillion of U.S. currency in circulation worldwide, my name is approximately on 1.8 trillion. So I can honestly say that no one has made more money than I have. I am also on the board of Ripple, which is XRP, cryptocurrency. But I want to make something very, very clear. Blockchain is here to stay. The train has left the station. You're going to hear me quoted about that all the time. As far as I'm concerned, whether it's fractional real estate, whether it's art, whether it's NFTs, blockchain is not going away.
Ripple's in a position where we can serve a lot of enterprise use cases for finance. So you can expect us to kind of expand beyond payments as a use case. Secondly, because we were just talking about ETFs, I think it would be very sensible for someone to launch an XRP ETF. XRP has been, trading is one of the, within the top 10 for how long? Maybe its entire life. And on the top exchanges like Coinbase and Kraken, it's certainly in the top 5 of daily volume. Oh, the other factor there, because of the court's ruling last year, XRP and Bitcoin are the only 2 crypto assets in the United States with clarity.
There were a couple of interesting things after that Bitcoin ETF was approved in that statement. One, and I paraphrase here, was effectively Gary Gensler saying, just because we allowed the Bitcoin ETF, don't think we're now going to allow a bunch of other crypto assets. The second interesting thing was the price of Ether skyrocketed immediately after, on hopes that there could now next be an ETF. What are the chances of that?
I think it's a certainty.
This year?
I'm not going to put a horizon on the time, but I think there will be other ETFs for sure.
An XRP one?
There will be other ETFs for sure.
but an XRP one?
I love this game we're playing. Look, I am very.
That's the last time I lost.
That's fine. But look, the sad part of that reality is we have a Bitcoin ETF only because a U.S. court said to the SEC, you're being arbitrary and capricious in your application of the law. What would be sad is if every ETF had to go through that same journey and for Gary Gensler to get smacked down by the U.S. court system again. That might be necessary, but again, at some point, I think Gary Gensler won't be the chair of the SEC, and that'll be a good thing.
These ETFs are going to create that opportunity for more differentiation and more telling the story, or peek behind the curtain of what is happening in this world of crypto, between Ethereum and Bitcoin and XRP Ledger and others. What's the differentiation?
And I guess the natural next question is, do you think an XRP ETF will be next?
I do. I think that makes a lot of sense. One, in the U.S., XRP and Bitcoin are the only 2 crypto assets with any kind of clarity. Through the judge's ruling in our SEC case last year, she said XRP in and of itself is not a security. So it's kind of a special asset in the U.S. market in that way. It's also, it's been a top 10 by market.
What's the creator of XRP has to say about when XRP will move big?
What do you think the relation is between the price of XRP and the success of Ripple?
It's very hard to understand the way prices behave. I think what's happening right now is at least the market doesn't seem to distinguish very much between the attributes of particular projects. It seems like they're sort of betting on the space as a whole. If you look at the price of Ethereum and Bitcoin and XRP and Stellar Lumens and Litecoin, they correlate incredibly well with each other. If people saw them as competitive, if people said Bitcoin and Litecoin and XRP are competing for the same use case, you would think that good news for Bitcoin would be bad news for XRP or Litecoin, and the market doesn't seem to think so. So I think the bet right now is kind of either cryptocurrencies are going to take over the world or they won't. And if they take over the world, they might all be winners or there might be winners and losers, but we don't really know who those will be yet. And so we're sort of betting on the space as a whole. And I guess the same thing could have happened in search in the early days. Google was in search, but so was Lycos and Excite and AltaVista and SGs. And if you thought, I really think search is going to be the next big thing, okay, well, could you have picked Google? Probably not. You might have sort of spread your bets around the space or sort of hoped that they would all win. Or even if you thought there would only be one winner, you wouldn't think that you could predict it. But it's also possible that prices are completely irrational and manipulated. I don't know, and it's kind of frustrating that I think anyone who tells you they know is lying. It's great when amateurs will tell you, hey, I understand exactly what's going on. Here's my thesis, and the experts will tell you we have no idea what's going on. But there are a lot of spaces where, if I knew, I'd be rich, right? I would just be able to bet on the winners or predict the way the news is going to affect the price. I'm constantly surprised by market behavior, so I don't pretend to know.
But do you think in the long term that the intrinsic value of XRP should be tied to the success of Ripple, or can they be completely independent?
I would expect it to tie to the success of the ecosystem, which would include projects like Ripple and Forte and Coil. But I don't know how rational that expectation is, or whether the price follows rational expectations. It's quite difficult to tell. Again, at least for the last year or so, the performance of every major cryptocurrency doesn't seem to relate. An interesting point is like the only events that have been proven to be correlated with the price of cryptocurrencies is exchanges. So like there used to be the Coinbase effect, like when Coinbase would list a cryptocurrency, you would see a huge spike in its price, and then you would see team news, whether it comes from things that Ripple are doing or things that Consensus is doing or other major projects, and there's no movement in the price. So either people think exchanges are like the gatekeepers of success of the ecosystem, or the prices are irrational. I honestly don't know. It's bad. I wish I did. Like it's something that we look at and try to understand, and we basically keep throwing our hands up. It's actually pretty frustrating.